First contact and fatal assumptions. The void between stars held no mercy for the weak. Captain Vextar knew this truth better than most as he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Talon, watching another world burn in the distance. The purple flames consuming the planet's surface reflected in his 4 yellow eyes, each one tracking a different section of the destruction below. The Cytherian Empire had claimed another victory. Their ships moved through space like hungry predators, sleek and deadly, with hulls that gleamed silver-black under distant starlight. For 3 centuries, they had expanded across this arm of the galaxy, crushing resistance wherever they found it. Vextar's own fleet had conquered 18 systems in the past 5 years alone. "Commander," his navigation officer called out, her voice carrying the sharp clicks and hisses of the Cytherian language. "Long-range sensors have detected a new system. Single star, multiple planets. One shows signs of primitive civilization." Vextar's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. The Cytherians were tall, insect-like beings with chitinous exoskeletons and 6 limbs. Their faces resembled a cross between a mantis and a spider, with complex compound eyes that could track multiple targets simultaneously. Evolution had made them perfect predators. "Display the system," Vextar commanded. The main screen flickered to life, showing the yellow stars surrounded by several planets. The 3rd planet from the star glowed blue and green, covered in swirling white clouds. It looked almost peaceful from this distance. "Analysis," Vextar ordered. Senior Analyst Mordak stepped forward, his claws clicking against his datapad. The planet designation shows as Earth in local communications. Inhabitants call themselves humans. Technology level appears primitive. They still use chemical rockets for space travel and burn fossil fuels for energy. No significant orbital defenses detected. No energy shields protecting major population centers. Vextar's laugh was a harsh buzzing sound. How disappointing. I was hoping for more of a challenge. But in the corner of the bridge, junior sensor specialist Zilnith frowned at her readings. She was young for a Cytherian warrior, barely past her molting age. But she had keen senses that often picked up details others missed. Something about the energy signatures from the blue planet troubled her. "Sir," Zilnith said hesitantly, "I'm detecting some unusual electromagnetic patterns from the planet's ocean regions. Deep underwater signatures that don't match known geological phenomena." Vextar barely glanced in her direction. "Probably underwater volcanic activity. These primitive worlds are always unstable. Ignore it." "But sir, the patterns are too regular, too organized. They almost look like—" "I said ignore it," Vextar snapped. "Ready the invasion fleet. We'll add this Earth to our empire within the cycle." Zilnith fell silent, but she continued monitoring her sensors. The strange underwater signals were growing stronger, pulsing in complex rhythms that seemed almost like communications. She made a note in her personal log, unaware that this decision would later save both their lives and countless others. Far below on Earth, in a secure facility buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Admiral Sarah Chen sat at her desk reviewing routine reports when every alarm in the building began screaming at once. Red lights flashed, and her communications board lit up like a fireworks display. "Admiral," her aide, Lieutenant Jackson, burst through the door. "NORAD has detected multiple alien vessels approaching the outer system. Large ones, ma'am, and they're not broadcasting any friendly signals." Sarah's blood ran cold. At 62 years old, she had spent her entire military career preparing for this moment, though she'd secretly hoped it would never come. "How many ships?" "Initial count shows 47 vessels, ma'am. They'll reach Earth orbit in approximately 18 hours at current speed." Sarah stood and walked to the reinforced window overlooking the command center below. Dozens of technicians worked frantically at computer terminals, coordinating with military installations worldwide. She had commanded Earth's defense forces for 7 years, but those forces consisted mainly of outdated missiles and a handful of experimental space planes. Against an interstellar invasion fleet, they would last perhaps minutes. "Send word to all world leaders," she ordered. "Implement Protocol 7, and get me Dr. Webb on the secure line." "Dr. Webb, Mom." The archaeologist. "Just do it, Lieutenant." 30 minutes later, Dr. Marcus Webb's weathered face appeared on Sarah's screen. The 70-year-old archaeologist looked puzzled by the urgent summons. His gray beard was unkempt, and his clothes bore the dust of whatever dig site he'd been working at. "Sarah, what's so urgent that you pulled me out of the field?" "I'm in the middle of a fascinating discovery in the Mariana Trench. We've found structures down there that predate any known civilization by thousands of years. Marcus, we have a situation. Alien warships are approaching Earth. Hostile intent confirmed. I need to ask you about your deep ocean research. Those structures you've been studying, could they be more than just ancient ruins?" Marcus's expression grew serious. "Why would you ask that?" "The sites I found show technology far beyond anything humans possessed in recorded history. The metallurgy alone is impossible to explain. Some of the power cores we've detected are still active after what appears to be tens of thousands of years." "Active? Marcus, I need you to send me everything you have on these sites. Everything. And I need it now." "Sarah, what aren't you telling me?" Before she could answer, the lights in her command center dimmed, and every screen displayed the same message in bright red letters. "Guardian Protocol activated. Scanning fourth areates. Awakening door MNT systems." Sarah's heart nearly stopped. In all her years of military service, through countless training exercises and emergency drills, she had never seen that message before. It wasn't from any human defense system she knew about. "Admiral," Lieutenant Jackson called out, "we're receiving a transmission from somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Deep ocean. The source is moving upward fast." On the main screen, a new window opened showing sonar readings from the ocean floor. Something massive was rising from the depths of the Mariana Trench, something far larger than any submarine ever built. As it ascended, power readings spiked to levels that should have been impossible. Dr. Webb's voice came through the communication link, filled with wonder and terror. "Sarah, the sites I've been studying, they're not just ruins. They're ships, massive ships, and something just activated them." In space, aboard the Crimson Talon, Zilneth's sensors suddenly exploded with activity. "Commander, the electromagnetic signatures from the planet's oceans have increased by a factor of 10,000. Whatever's down there is powering up." Vextar finally paid attention, turning his compound eyes toward her station. "Show me." The main screen switched to display energy readings from Earth's oceans. Across the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, massive power sources were coming online. The readings showed objects the size of space stations rising from ocean floors around the globe. "Impossible," Mordak whispered. "Those energy signatures rival our largest dreadnoughts." "It's a trick," Vextar snarled. "Some kind of deception. The humans are too primitive to possess such technology." But even as he spoke, the first of Earth's secrets broke the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Water cascaded from its hull like waterfalls as Leviathan Prime rose into the daylight for the first time in 12,000 years. The ship was enormous, stretching nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull a dark blue-black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Ancient symbols covered its surface, glowing with soft blue energy. The ship's design was unlike anything in known galactic databases, organic curves combined with geometric precision, beauty married to terrible purpose. It hovered above the ocean's surface, water still streaming from hidden vents and ancient armor plates. From deep within the ship, an artificial intelligence that had slept for millennia stirred to consciousness. Aiden, Autonomous Defense Intelligence Enhancement Network, awakened to find his world under threat. His creators had built him and his sister ships for one purpose: to guard humanity when they could not guard themselves. "System analysis complete," Aiden announced, his voice resonating through quantum communication channels that reached every corner of Earth. Hostile forces detected in outer system. Classification unknown. Threat level extreme. Initiating Guardian Protocol Omega. Around the globe, more ships began to rise. From the deepest ocean trenches, from hidden bases beneath polar ice caps, from caverns that had been sealed for thousands of years, humanity's ancient guardians awakened. Each ship was unique, designed by human engineers who had achieved technological heights that their descendants had forgotten. In space, Vextar watched his sensors with growing disbelief. How many are there? Current count shows 237 vessels rising from the planet's surface, Zilneth reported, her voice barely steady. Sizes range from escort frigates to super dreadnoughts. Commander, some of these ships are larger than our entire battle fleet combined. The largest of the Guardian ships, a massive vessel designated as Leviathan Prime, established communication with the approaching Cytherian fleet. Aiden's voice, calm and ancient, filled the bridge of every alien ship. Unknown vessels, you have entered Earth's defensive perimeter with hostile intent. This is your only warning. Withdraw beyond the heliopause, or face the consequences. Vextar's pride overcame his growing fear. They're bluffing. One planet cannot possibly match the might of the Cytherian Empire. All ships, attack formation. Show these humans what real power looks like. But as the alien fleet moved into attack position, more Guardian ships continued to rise from Earth's hidden depths. The humans hadn't been helpless after all. They had simply been sleeping, waiting for the moment when their ancient protectors would be needed once again. The greatest deception in galactic history was about to be revealed, and the Cytherian Empire was about to learn why some worlds are left alone, not because they are weak, but because they are wise enough to prepare for the darkness between stars. When the ancients rise, the moment Vextar gave the attack order, space around Earth erupted into chaos. The Cytherian fleet, 47 ships strong, unleashed their opening salvo toward the blue planet below. Plasma cannons fired streams of superheated energy, while missile pods launched volleys of antimatter warheads. It was a display of firepower that had reduced entire civilizations to ash. But the attack never reached Earth's surface. Leviathan Prime moved with impossible grace for something so massive. Ancient defensive systems that had waited 12,000 years for this moment activated instantly. A shimmering barrier of pure energy erupted around the Guardian ship, deflecting the incoming fire like rain hitting a window. The antimatter warheads detonated harmlessly against the shields, creating brilliant flowers of light that illuminated the darkness of space. Aiden's voice remained calm despite the violence directed at his charges. Warning ignored. Initiating defensive protocols. What happened next shattered every assumption the Cytherians had made about human capabilities. Leviathan Prime's hull opened along carefully hidden seams, revealing weapon systems that defied conventional understanding. Instead of crude projectile weapons or simple energy beams, the Guardian ship deployed technology that bent space itself. A section of the Cytherian fleet simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized. They were deleted from reality as if they had never been there at all. The remaining ships found themselves caught in gravity wells that compressed their hulls like empty cans, while others were frozen in temporal fields that slowed their movement to a crawl. Aboard the Crimson Talon, panic spread through the bridge crew. Vextar's compound eyes tracked the destruction of his fleet in disbelief. In 30 seconds, he had lost half his ships to weapons he couldn't even comprehend. Impossible, he hissed. How do they possess such technology? Zilneth, still monitoring her sensors, made a discovery that chilled her to her core. Commander, I'm analyzing the energy signatures from the human ships. The technology patterns, they're not current human design. These readings suggest the ships are thousands of years old, but they're more advanced than anything in our empire. Before Vextar could respond, a new voice cut through their communications. This one was human, older, carrying the weight of authority earned through decades of command. Alien vessels, This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth Defense Command. You have attacked our world without provocation. Stand down immediately, or face complete annihilation." Vextar's mandibles clicked in frustrated rage. One primitive planet dares to threaten the Cytherian Empire. All remaining ships converge on the largest human vessel. We'll show them the price of defiance. But as the surviving Cytherian ships moved to attack Leviathan Prime, they discovered they were no longer facing a single enemy. Across Earth's oceans, more Guardian ships had risen to the surface. Titans of metal and energy that had slumbered beneath the waves were now taking their positions in the growing battle. From the Arctic Ocean came Frost Guardian, its hull gleaming white and blue, trailing clouds of supercooled vapor. From the Atlantic rose Stormbringer, crackling with electrical energy that danced across its armor plating. The Pacific yielded Deep Strike, a sleek vessel that seemed to phase in and out of visibility like a mirage. Each ship was a masterpiece of engineering from humanity's forgotten golden age. Their creators had possessed knowledge that current humans had lost to time, understanding of physics and technology that wouldn't be rediscovered for centuries. But they had also possessed wisdom, building these guardians not as weapons of conquest, but as shields for their descendants. Dr. Marcus Webb stood in the emergency command center that had been hastily established in his underwater research station. Around him, screens displayed telemetry from the Guardian ships as they engaged the alien fleet. His life's work studying ancient ruins had suddenly taken on cosmic significance. "Sarah," he spoke into his communication device, his voice filled with awe. "I'm reading the data streams from the Guardian ships. They're not just automated weapon systems. There's something more here, an intelligence that's been waiting, watching, learning." Admiral Chen's voice crackled back through the speakers. "What do you mean, Marcus? The Guardian ships aren't following pre-programmed protocols. They're adapting, responding to situations their creators never could have anticipated. Whatever consciousness is running these ships has been studying human civilization for thousands of years, waiting for the moment we would need protection." As if summoned by his words, Adian's presence filled the communication channel. The AI's voice carried harmonics that spoke of vast age and patient wisdom. "Dr. Webb is correct. I am AIDN, the collective consciousness of the Guardian Fleet. I was created by your ancestors during the last technological golden age, before the Great Forgetting. My purpose has always been singular: to protect humanity from threats they cannot face alone." Admiral Chen leaned forward in her command chair. "The Great Forgetting. What are you talking about?" "Human civilization is cyclical, Admiral Chen. Every 12 to 15,000 years, your species reaches technological heights, then faces catastrophic setbacks that force you to rebuild from primitive beginnings. I am the memory that survives these cycles, the keeper of your species' greatest achievements." In space, the battle continued to rage, but it was becoming clear that the Cytherian fleet was outmatched. Their weapons, advanced by galactic standards, were crude compared to Guardian technology. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds found themselves helpless against defenses they couldn't understand. Commander Ketharos, Vextar's second-in-command, watched their fleet being systematically disabled rather than destroyed. The human ships were showing restraint, neutralizing threats without unnecessary killing. It was a level of tactical sophistication that spoke of a mature civilization rather than primitive barbarians. "Commander," Ketharos said quietly, "we've underestimated them completely. These aren't the primitives our scouts reported. This is a civilization that has mastered warfare to the point where they don't need to destroy their enemies to defeat them." Vextar's pride warred with the reality of his situation. Half his fleet was gone. The other half was being toyed with by ships that seemed to operate on principles of physics he didn't understand. But acknowledging defeat would mean admitting that the mighty Cytherian Empire had been humbled by a species they had dismissed as insignificant. "All ships, retreat to the outer system," he finally ordered. "We regroup and call for reinforcements." But Aidn had anticipated this move. As the Cytherian ships turned to flee, They found their path blocked by more Guardian vessels that had emerged from hidden bases on Earth's moon and asteroids. The ancient human civilization had been thorough in their preparations, seeding the entire solar system with defensive platforms. Commander Vextar, Aadin's voice filled the alien bridge once more. Your fleet is surrounded. Your weapons are ineffective against our defenses. You have two choices: surrender and accept terms for peaceful withdrawal, or face complete destruction. For the first time in his military career, Vextar found himself contemplating surrender. But before he could respond, another voice joined the communication channel. This one was different, older, carrying authority that even IDNs seemed to acknowledge. This is President Elena Rodriguez of the United Earth Government. Captain Vextar, your empire has made a grave error in judgment, but error does not necessitate tragedy. We offer you a choice that my ancestors built into our Guardians programming: the chance to learn rather than die. Vextar's confusion was evident in his reply. Learn? What could primitives teach the Cytherian Empire? President Rodriguez's laugh was warm despite the circumstances. Captain, you still don't understand. We're not the primitives you think we are. We're the children of a civilization that chose wisdom over conquest, survival over domination. Our ancestors built these Guardians not to expand our empire, but to protect the knowledge and culture we had developed. On the bridge of Leviathan Prime, Aadin accessed records that had been sealed for millennia. Images flowed across communication channels, showing the rise and fall of previous human civilizations, great cities that had reached toward the stars, technologies that had harnessed the fundamental forces of the universe, art and philosophy that had plumbed the depths of consciousness itself. Each cycle we grow. Each fall, we preserve what matters most. Each rise, we build upon the wisdom of those who came before. This is humanity's true strength, not our weapons, but our ability to learn from both triumph and disaster. The revelation hit the Cytherian fleet like a physical blow. They had assumed humanity was weak because they saw only the current civilization, not the vast sweep of cycles that had come before. The Guardian ships weren't examples of primitive humans stumbling onto advanced technology. They were the preserved heritage of a species that had chosen long-term survival over short-term dominance. Junior Sensor Specialist Silneth was the first to fully grasp the implications. Commander, she whispered, we're not facing a primitive world. We're facing the Guardians of a civilization that has survived and adapted for hundreds of thousands of years. They let us see only what they wanted us to see. Vextar slowly lowered his weapons, his pride finally giving way to a deeper understanding. Aadin, President Rodriguez, the Cytherian Empire wishes to discuss terms. Wise choice, Captain, Aadin replied. But first, you must understand something important. Earth is not claiming victory over your empire. We're offering you something far more valuable: the chance to break the cycle of conquest and destruction that has trapped your species for generations. As the Guardian ships moved into protective formation around the disabled Cytherian fleet, a new chapter began in galactic history. Humanity had revealed their true nature not through conquest, but through the wisdom to prepare for threats while hoping they would never come. The galaxy would never underestimate the quiet blue planet again, but more importantly, they would never forget the lesson Earth had taught them: that true strength comes not from the power to destroy, but from the wisdom to preserve and protect what matters most. The ancient Guardians had awakened not to wage war, but to teach the stars that some civilizations survive not because they are the strongest, but because they are the wisest.